I am so bothered by this drama CD like you wouldn't believe. To be more specific, the 5th drama CD from Boku no Hero Academia called where President Mike and Aizawa Shota have a surprise birthday celebration for All Might at an izakaya, which I believe is the Japanese equivalent to a pub. For those who are unfamiliar, drama CDs are basically clips of audio where Japanese voice actors read from a scenario script. Just think of it being like the anime, except no visuals, just voices. And I bet you're wondering what happens in the course of the CD that has me so bothered in the first place, and well, let's get right to it. My biggest grievance in this CD comes from the gift that Mike gives to All Might. Instead of trying to explain it, I figured it'd be easier to show, so... roll clip!
オールマイトさん、ハッピーバースデーってことで、俺からのプレゼント For you, give you, I love you!
おー、ありがとう。開けてもいいかな？
もちろん、of course!
これは USB メモリー。
この 6TB のメモリーの中に、俺が今まで放送してきた全てのラジオ番組を MP3 データで入れておきました。収録時間は10万時間以上。死ぬまで楽しめますよ。
ありがとう。老後の楽しみが一つ増えたよ。
おい、10万時間だったら一日中喋っても11年以上かかるぞ。どんだけラジオ番組持ってんだ。
いつ寝て細かいこと気にするなってイメージだ。
するだろ普通。
And you would, because it's suspicious. Very, very suspicious. This exchange bothered me so much. It bothered me for a week before I finally cracked and decided to see how long 100,000 hours were. I don't know, maybe all these years of game and film theory are starting to rub off on me. I just couldn't not look further into this. Plus, it's simple math, and there are unit converters out there too. Now, Aizawa is absolutely correct. If Mike talked non-stop, it would take him at least 11 years to get through 100,000 hours. More specifically, 11 years, 4 months, 4 weeks, 1 day, and 21 hours. Again, this is how long it would take if it were non-stop, but what about normally? As far as we know, and I checked the fan wiki, Mike has a radio show every Friday night from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m., 4 hours in total, meaning Mike racks up 4 hours of put your hands up radio each week. Simple division will tell us that to rack up 100,000 hours, 4 hours a week, it would take President Mike 25,000 weeks to complete. Now how long is 25,000 weeks? Well, let me tell you. 25,000 weeks is the equivalent to 479 years, 5 months, and 2 weeks. This is impossible. There's no way Mike could have done this. There is no way there's 100,000 hours of audio on that USB drive. Let me tell you just how impossible this is. 479 years is the equivalent of 6 human lifespans if we're going by the average of 79 years. If we go by the record of 122, that's 4 lifespans. And if we go by the future estimate of 150, that's still 3 lifespans. There's no way Mike could have done this. Even if he were some sort of secret vampire or immortal, he still could have done it. I don't know what year it is in the world of My Hero, but I don't think they're that far ahead of our own time. And I think it's safe to assume that some older inventions like the radio still occurred at the same time. So, if Mike were to start his show when the radio was invented in 1895, he wouldn't be done till the year 2377. Unless President Mike can somehow defy the laws of the space-time continuum, there's no way he could have done this. It would make more sense if it were 3,000 hours because that would equate to about 15 years, which is a lot more feasible, depending on how old you have to be legally to be allowed on air. Answer me, Mike. How the heck do you have 100,000 hours of your radio show on that USB drive? How? It's impossible and you and I both know it. Dang it if I don't still love you. But I'm gonna give you a chance here. We'll see if we can't work out a way for you to accumulate 100,000 hours on air within 30 years. Again, everything up to this point was all based on the one radio show we know Mike does every Friday night, 4 hours a week. And we know Mike is still 30 years old when All Might's birthday rolls around June 10th, since Mike's birthday is July 7th. But is there a way, between the times he's a teacher in Pro Hero, for President Mike to be on air for 100,000 hours? Well, I guess we can try, but it might not be too accurate considering there are a lot of variables outside of my control, like how many hours he puts into being a pro hero. But let's start with his job as an English teacher at UA. MatPat did us a favor by telling us that the Japanese school year typically starts April 1st and ends March 30th. By doing a bit of digging, I found that the school year is usually divided into 3 trimesters, each having a break in between them. Here's a sample time frame, and these are the major holidays, meaning no school or work. Also, the school week is normally from Monday to Saturday, with Saturday being a half day. The school day starts around 8:45 a.m. and ends around 3:30 p.m., 1 p.m. on Saturdays. So during weekdays, let's say Mike works for about 9 hours, 7 for the school day and an additional 2 because as a teacher, he would be at UA earlier and later than the students. On Saturdays, Mike would work for about 7 hours. And let's say that present Mike spends 8 hours a day sleeping, since he spent a third of your life asleep anyway. Then 3 hours spent on eating 3 meals and 2 spent for personal hygiene. It could be more considering we don't know how long it takes to style that cockatoo hair of his. Now, on weekdays, present Mike will have 2 hours of free time, Saturdays with 4, and any off days with 11 hours. Technically, Saturdays don't have any free time if you count the 4 hours Mike spends doing his no radio show. And I know before I said his show was Friday nights 1 to 5 a.m., but late Friday night technically counts as early Saturday morning, so I'm counting those 4 hours on Saturdays. Within the year, I use 2018 as a sample year. There are 204 weekdays, 40 Saturdays, and 121 free days. With some simple multiplication, if present Mike spent every minute of his free time on air, he would accumulate 1,899 hours. Simple division will tell us that to get to 100,000 hours, it would take about 53 years. Oh my gosh, Mike! Okay. What if we cut Mike's sleep time in half? That would be 3,359 hours per year, and that would take 30 years. But there's still a problem with this since the earliest people start talking is around 2. Yeah, his parents could have put him on the radio since he popped out the womb, but I highly doubt anyone wants to listen to a baby's cries that could literally make your ears bleed. Then again, there are videos like that out there, so If we cut Mike's sleep down to 2 hours, he can get up to 4,089 hours per year, which would take him about 24 and a half years to complete. A little better. And if Mike were to never sleep, that would give him 4,819 hours per year, which would take 21 years to complete 100,000 hours. However, bad things start to happen when you don't get enough sleep, and present Mike isn't an exception to this. Unless he has some secret second quirk that he hasn't told us about. And even if we were to eliminate Saturdays, shorten the amount of time Mike spends on eating or styling that cockatoo hair, there's not enough additional free time to make a significant difference. Either way, TLDR, or would it be TLDL? It's impossible. And let's not forget that in addition to being a teacher and a radio show host, Mike has a third job as a pro hero, meaning that he's spending time patrolling the streets, kicking butt, and saving lives. I didn't even count any of the hours Mike would accumulate as a hero, because when you do, 100,000 hours becomes even more of an impossibility. Present Mike. Yamada Hisashi. There's absolutely no way you could have gotten 100,000 hours of your radio show onto that USB drive. You're either lying, exaggerating, or there's something very, very wrong here. Could you even fit all of that data into a 6 terabyte USB? Dang it, I asked myself another math question! Okay. With the lowest quality audio, 8 kilobytes per second for 1 hour would take up 3.6 megabytes of storage. 100,000 hours would be 0.36 terabytes. With the highest quality of 320 kilobytes per second, 1 hour would take up 144 megabytes of storage. 100,000 hours would be 14.4 terabytes. The highest quality audio that Mike could use that would still fit within 6 terabytes would be at 128 kilobytes per second. 128 kilobytes per second just happens to be the normal quality of audio you get from listening to the radio. Who knew? And the world of My Hero is more technologically advanced, so fitting 100,000 hours onto a 6 terabyte USB might not be too much of an issue actually. And you know what? I could be wrong about all of this. But I'm not about to spend 100 plus hours to make one video. I'm gonna leave that to MatPat. That's his thing. I'm sure he'll do 10. No, 100 times better than me. But that's not the only thing that bothered me. Yeah, I know. Roll clip.
すみません。個室鶴の間ですけど、注文いいですか？おい、何飲む？
特大ビア。
じゃあ、特大生ビール一つに、ジントニック一つ。だし巻き卵に、モロッケ、串盛りと刺し盛りを2人前。あと、唐揚げ、ポテトサラダに、ハマグリとホタテの焼き物2つずつ。それから、ご飯セット1つ。
That's a lot of food for 3 people. And what I'm wondering is, how much did that whole order cost? I'm assuming All Might got water because he can't drink for obvious reasons. So let's go over this together. So we have, and these are all estimates, 1 extra large beer, 1 gin tonic, 2 orders of dashimaki tamago, morokyu, kushimori, and sashimori, karaage, 1 potato salad, 2 orders of fried scallops and clams, and 1 rice set. All this for a grand total price range of 9,120 to 13,930 yen, or alternatively around 82 to 125 US dollars. Wow, I guess that's not too bad if our pro heroes go Dutch. Well, that's all that really bothered me while listening to the CD, save for All Might's age. But that's a whole nother thing that I'm not touching, no thank you. But hey, if you guys want to listen to the CD in full, I highly recommend it. President Mike raps happy birthday to All Might. You heard me. Links for the audio and translated script will be in description for your enjoyment. Bye!